Hello and welcome to another 1v1 cast on this map, Bermuda Locket, between Mountain in the top left with Aeon versus Ty on the bottom right with Cybran. These are still two very competent players, both been on my channel before. Mountain definitely been a slightly higher rated player than Ty, but even so I think this should be a very competitive match. This map dates back to the early GPG days of Supreme Commander and has been in the 1v1 rotation since almost forever at some point or another, popping in and out of the rotation as people have decided different things. So it should be a typical build order with Land Factory and then about 8 or 9 T1 P-Gens and then go to the Air Factory. The mexes definitely do be delayed in building just because there's so much reclaim on the map, right? It's better to reclaim the mass and then feed that mass into your structures and rather than building the mexes straight off the bat. It's just a more efficient build order. We really want to get those air units and engineers out as quickly as possible. So what to expect from this map? What to expect? We expect a lot of T1 land spam on the left and right hand sides respectively. There are a lot of mass points all over the map. So you have to expand really aggressively to be competitive on this map. So we definitely expect to see air scouts. We definitely expect to see T1 drops, T1 bomber raids, also definitely on the cards. What's also usually an option is to go for the sea. It can be very useful. If you can get T2 ships in this little bay of your enemy, you can really start raiding the bases very effectively, especially with the UEF cruiser or the Seraphim cruiser. But both of these sides both these factions don't really have very viable naval options. You can get into the map, but the destroyers won't really have the range over here to raid the enemy's bases too effectively. The Cybran destroyer might have some utility to be able to walk up, but too easily overcharged, and it's not really that a viable strategy. So depending, and both of the players realize that the naval options from each other aren't particularly threatening, so I don't expect to see T2 naval play much. Maybe a bit of T1 just to make sure to try and deny the Navy in terms of just trying to get any kind of trickery, and already we see the first T1 scouts coming out. I'm just going to turn the sound a little up because I think I was a little bit too aggressive in turning the sound down. This sounds about right, I think. So a lot of T1 P-Gens. I'm not really quite sure about the placement here. It's trying to keep them a little bit distance, but at the same time, horizontally they're very close. So I think Ty is definitely trying to keep his P-Gens away from each other to avoid those explosions. Probably almost certainly been burned a few times by a T1 bomber rush, especially with UEF and Cybran. Their bombers drop bombs in the line, so a little carpet bomber run by 2 or 3 bombers here could wreck a lot of T1 P-Gens and possibly put in Ty in the back quite badly. But normally we don't see such a commitment to T1 bombers. Normally it's a straight T1 bomber, just one, to try and get some try and cause some trouble. But already we're seeing the first T1 transports, and we definitely expect to be seeing those from Ty as well. They're super important to get your engineers across the map. There's so much mass on this map that you really have to be very aggressive to try and maintain competitiveness. If you are, maintaining your little corner in this map, it's over so fast just because there is so much mass all over the map. That map control on this map is really super important. You've got to maintain that map control, and in order to do that, we're seeing a lot of just build expansions, right? Try and get as many factories out, try and get as many engineers out, try and build the infrastructure that you need to spread, and of course you definitely need the airplanes. Mountain is definitely ahead in his airplay, so that's going to give him a strong early advantage. His Rhaegar's transport's coming out to try and dominate and control the map. He's got more air, but did Ty invest in eco or infrastructure a little bit more than Mountain did? He's got the bomber out, so that's going to be used to try and delay his opponents, but he really needs that transport out. Maybe he understands that Mountain has too many interceptors out and he can't compete, risking a drop, but you gotta drop, man. On this map you gotta drop. If you don't, it's just a losing strategy. You're gonna be set apart, especially at this competitive level that these players are playing out. You gotta drop on this map. Already Mountain is spreading his eco aggressively, and he is just ahead of Ty already at the 5-minute mark, and this isn't boding well for Ty at all. I hope he has a plan. I hope the bombers are not it. I hope he has a better plan. That did not work at all. He's got his transport coming out here, but with this amount of interceptors from Mountain, Mountain really should be trying to aggressively, with his air advantage, make sure this transport doesn't live. And he could easily be airlocking him. Tai doesn't have any T1 AA yet, so those airplanes should be patrolling over his base until he does build T1 AA. So that's definitely a missed opportunity from Mountain. He could have easily taken out this transport. But as always, there is so much to micro on this map, and it can be very difficult to always micro exactly the most efficient thing ever. So Mountain is going Navy. He's gained some T1 subs out. I don't hate this at all. I don't expect him to go T2 Navy. I really don't. I expect his resources to be much better going basically into anything else. Into eco, land, or air, I think would be a better option. Tai's also going Navy. Maybe there's something I'm not quite understanding here. Both of these factions, even if you have total naval supremacy with Aeon and Cyberun, I don't expect that to give such a huge advantage. So maybe they're both just trying to make sure to deny the Navy to the enemy player rather than trying to secure for their own advantage. Maybe. The frigates will definitely lock down the Navy and will provide some anti-air over anything that flies into the ocean, and that's probably the most utility that each side can get, is having a few cruisers in the middle of the ocean to just try and deny any kind of airplanes flying over. So I like this. I hope Tai gets that transport. He'll need that pickup to try and stay in the game a little bit, but he's not going to get it. Oh, that is too close. That is too close. Those engineers are lucky to be alive! And then... Oh! That engineer is lucky to be alive. For sure. So Tai is definitely picking up. He's got his drops in the bottom here and the top here, and he intercepted that drop from Mountain very effectively. So he's securing the left-hand side. He was a little bit delayed, but it was good enough. Mountain's got the right-hand side definitely locked down, but even though he's got the land factories, he hasn't built the mexes yet. So that should be a priority for him. But of course, getting the military might secure the right-hand side is more important than the mexes. Interesting dichotomy here. Mountain going submarines, Tai going frigates. So yeah, Mountain definitely going for the naval denial. Frigates do much more DPS than submarines, but of course they're going to die to submarines anytime soon, and they're not going to be enough to lock down the Navy. So submarines are probably the best choice. Tai is committing to frigates. He is starting to get some submarines out, but he'll need many more than just 1 or 2 submarines to deal with Mountain submarines, because Mountain is only building submarines, and I like that. So I still kind of feel that Tai could completely ignore Navy, and that could still maybe go fine for him. These submarines aren't going to do much, and destroyers aren't going to do too much to him either. They'll be able to lock down and kill most of what's here, but these mexes are protected by the terrain, so I'd love to hear their thoughts on why they both go in Navy, and go in Navy fairly hard. I'd love to hear their thoughts on it, because I don't really... I kind of feel both of them could neglect Navy entirely and still be fine on this map. So I like the fact that the... I like the way the map's been split. Tai's got the left-hand side, Mountain's got the right-hand side. They're both doing the T1 spam as totally expected. We're getting the Fervors out, the T1 RT, and the pushing from the T1 has begun, and it's begun in earnest. So Aurora's coming out, and Tai's gonna need a plan here. I'm surprised he's pushing Navy so hard. I really am. There's still a lot of reclaim on the mass. He probably could do well to manually reclaim this mass. That's a lot of mass. That's easily... Oh, jeez. Yeah, manual reclaim, right? On this map, you're definitely going to want to set patrol routes for your engineers, but there's too much mass in this map. You're going to want to manually reclaim it. I hope he's not mass stalling. Or he's energy stalling, so that's a bit awkward. Never want to energy stall. Yep, Mountain isn't, and he's got a lot of mass, and he's trying to spend it all. And I imagine he's trying to build all the infrastructure that he needs. This is bold. This is bold, and I like it because it is not too bold. I didn't expect this at all. Has he got any upgrades? He's got the engineering suite upgrade. He's kind of getting the Oblivion turrets down with T1 PDs, and this is going to totally wreck this. Tai is going to have no answer to this whatsoever. Didn't even see him go T2 Air Factory. Has he got T2 mexes yet? He does have a few T2 mexes, some airplane on the right hand side, get some Marines as well, and Swiftwood's coming out too. So how is Tai going to respond to this? He's got all this T1, he's choosing to continue to push us into Mountain space. I don't hate this at all. There's a lot to be killed here, and there doesn't seem to be much in the way, but this is a problem. This isn't enough T1 to take this out. Not at all, so... Can he T1 spam it? I don't know if he can. He's trying. Maybe he can. I think he can. With this T1 RT he's got, the Blizzard turret is down, he's going to outrange it, and now he's GTF throwing, so... oh jeez, that didn't work out for Mountain. I thought that was going to work much better than it did, but I like his... I liked his conservativeness. He saw it wasn't working, and then he decided to get out. You know, tail between the legs and retreat, fight another day. But you know what? That's how you win. You didn't have to fight there, so don't. There wasn't a fight you're going to win. We have a hard conservative push from Mountain down the right-hand side with all his T1. Ty is getting some PDs down, but it's not really enough. He's got all his Navy, but it's not having any utility whatsoever. This is a lot of T1 spam, so he's definitely going to want to get a few more PDs down. He's got a T2 engineering suite on his commander, so he could put the Cerberus turret, and he is. It's going to have terrain hitting issues. Ooh, going to turn the sound down during this exciting time with all the things in Ty's base exploding. But we'll be right back. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so now all the T1 spam is in his power grid. Oh my goodness, this is looking terrible for Ty. Can he come back from this? I don't know. He's getting his PDs down, but there is so much spam. He has no response for it. What he could possibly do is to send his frigates over here and try and kill a lot of his T1 as they're walking past the coast. That's probably the most worthwhile thing he could do. There was a drop over here, it didn't do much. The T1, the Navy, they're still fighting. What they're fighting for, who could only tell. These frigates, the most utility they could get is going over here and try and kill the T1 coming down here. But I think he's going to go for the Navy kill. He wants to get... He probably has enough frigates to destroy what's happening here. We've got some gunships out, which I'd like. Aeon has a distinct advantage in that they've got the swift wind over the Cybran. But Ty is still in trouble here. He hasn't got his T1 spam under control at all. He's got the Cerberus turrets down. They're doing what they need to be doing, except this one that's in the terrain. It's difficult on this map. There's a few too many hills in the way, so the Cerberus turrets are definitely going to have issues with hitting terrain. He's definitely going to want to be able to respond with mantises of his own. Maybe it's supported by the turrets, but Cerberus turrets just are not great here at all. There's just too much mountains and ridges to get in the way. It's really frustrating, actually. Maybe that's something good map design to get right. That too many hills in this map. I definitely think penalizes Cybran much more fiercely than other factions. So the T1 frigates are up in mountains, naval yards, killing naval yards, but also giving a lot of mass. So both opponents have T1 land in their enemy's base, trying to push hard. Mountains definitely did much more damage than Ty did. Gunships are a great counter for this. So all in all, I don't think Ty came off too poorly. There is a lot of reclaim in his base as a result of it. Most of the things are still alive. I think he lost one max there, or two. Not crippling losses at all, but my goodness, this is a lot of tier 1. So Ty's gonna definitely need a better response to this. He needs to get his turrets either here, where they can shoot down the alley of flat terrain, or something else that's good at killing tier 1 land. This is actually pretty cool. The map has developed into a bit of a stalemate. How are these getting here? Are these just walking through? I think they are. That's not being dropped. So what I like from Ty is that he's built his T2 naval yard over here, right? Not where it was expected to be built, but it has been scouted by Mountain. Mountain is sending his navy in response, and he doesn't have enough response to deal with this. I think that's a cruiser, not a destroyer. So that will definitely help him to try and keep the navy under control, or the air under control. But these submarines are going to give him a bad day. This isn't going to survive long at all. So that plan from Ty didn't work. Eco-wise, Ty's ahead. What a surprise. I thought Mountain would be ahead. Mountain has lost a few mexes here and there. I think Ty's probably just been better at upgrading his mexes. That's probably it. He's got this many mexes, and Mountain has that many. Similar number. So Ty just has more of his mexes, I think. Wow, this is a fight. So Ty's really, Martin's really trying to take this out. He's got his gunships in there. I don't think they're necessary. The submarines be more than necessary to kill this. And even though Martin can build swift ones, he doesn't have them here. I think that would give him a distinct advantage in the Navy. He's going to lose his gunships to the interceptors eventually. Nope. Yes. Yes, Ty has the air advantage. But no answer for these submarines. No answer yet. That cruiser would have helped against the gunships, but not against the submarines. So, yep, this is what I suggested and what I'm glad Ty did. He built his Cerberus turrets down here. So now any T1 coming down here is going to be met by a huge array of Cerberus turrets. And by huge array, I mean only 3. But they won't have any terrain hitting issues down this alley. So that's his right flank fairly secured. Martin, on the other hand, is busy PDing up hard into these choke points as well. So with the land approaches basically defended now by T2 and both of them going T1 land, that's not going to work. So both players are going to have to transition from T1 land into something different. Maybe T2 airplay or T2 or probably T3 land play. I don't think T2 land would be a great choice for Cybran. I think probably going straight to Loyalists or Bricks even might be an option. The problem with Rhinos is, again, this map, too many hills, too much terrain hitting. So he really wants this cruiser. He's really committed to it, but he still has no answer for these submarines. So I don't like this at all. He should have built his torpedo defenses or some kind of response to submarines before investing all these resources into a cruiser which he just lost to a submarine spam. He's got no answer for it. Or the Aurora spam. Maybe that's the key thing I missed earlier. Is that Cybran couldn't afford not to go T1 Navy because the Auroras could just walk up into his base. I think that's the thing I missed earlier. Hey, this is happening. So, again, these hills are just completely screwing up all the turrets are hitting terrain. It's usually more of a problem with Cybran. They're getting through, so you really need to hold it at the choke point here with your defenses to try and dominate this area of flat terrain where your turrets can be more successful. He's got the T2 gunships, they're going to be good. I don't think he lost anything. Oh, no, he lost his T2P gen. T2P gen, he lost it. That's not great. But still not critical. Eco-wise, Ty's still ahead, so this game's much closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought Mountain did very strong early lead, but not losing at all. This is the second T2 land, 2T Navy factory that Ty has lost. He's getting his PD's torpedo defenses down now. Too late. Should have gone down first. But there is going to be a lot of mass reclaim here for him, so that's going to be okay. Oh, that's a bugger. That's a bugger at all. So these turrets are trying to shoot those engineers or Auroras, and if this T1 to push down here, they could just walk through it because these PDs are not shooting the right thing. Okay, so what the player's going to do, that is a T2 transport, so looking for a T2 drop of some description. That would be exciting. What's Ty doing? Ty is going T2 air. Is that Corsair? No, it's a gunship. That's still fine. Oh jeez. Okay, who's got air superiority? Mountain's got air superiority. Going to turn the sound down again, because I can never get it right. I'm always uncomfortable. I always feel it's too loud or too soft. Okay, so clear air advantage to Mountain. Yep. So got the flak down, so that's great. That's gonna help protect the gunships. I'm not sure about Ty's choice for going heavy T2 air. I don't like it because he can just get smashed by the swift ones, which don't even exist. Mountain hasn't even bothered building the swift ones. I guess he doesn't need them. Again, I don't like the placement of these Oblivion turrets. I'd much rather them more over here. I like the walls going down. I think we should definitely have seen many more walls. Hey, T3 land. So built over here. So that's a very far forward land factory echoes, but I like it. So the Harbingers are a good choice, I think. The T1 land phase of this game has well and truly passed. I like this option as well. That's definitely gonna work. I don't think it's been scouted. There's no TMDs at all, so that's definitely a viable option. Got Harbinger drops trying to come through, but those interceptors are not fast enough. So Mountain's gonna be able to drop that pretty much anywhere he wants to. How did this guy get here? Okay, that was a drop. Ineffective. Got a fair number of renegades now, but without the air superiority he can't use them. Although he's trying to build it now. He's got a lot of air factories. So if Tai can secure the air advantage, these renegades could be used to good effect. Nope, there it goes. Did it get any kills? It got 2 kills. Okay, so the TMD was built in response to it, so it wasn't preemptively built. So it got some value done. This Harbinger is going to cause big trouble. Yeah, dropping T3 land bots just in your enemy's base can cause such trouble and demands a response, and a fairly hefty response too. The gunships will work, but not before that Harbinger is going to kill a bunch of eco, and it's definitely going to do a good job of that. So it's got... It's not going to get that one. I thought it might. Oh, it did! Although I think that was maybe Renegade fire. So more Harbingers coming down here. So these Renegades are going to have a lot of work. Different batches of Renegades here and there, trying to control this Harbinger drops. So I like the fact that he's going Harbinger drops. I'm curious as to why he's not going Swift Winds. I definitely thought he could, and that would be a viable opportunity for him to go Swift Winds. The walls were insufficient. That was an insufficient wall. So now, okay, third naval factory coming down from Tai. He really wants a cruiser, and I can see now why he wants a cruiser, because he wants to use renegades, and he can use those cruisers to maintain air superiority all over the map. And if he can park, hey, he's cleaned up this navy here. So this is my thinking of Tai, and I think it's actually good thinking at this point. He can park his cruisers here, right? And if he does, he can just basically destroy so much of all of Mountain's eco with his renegades, and if he ever has any trouble from air, he can just run towards his cruisers and win air superiority, and then go back in with the renegades. Mountain will have a very difficult time dealing with his renegades if the enemy has cruisers here. He won't be able to use interceptors very effectively. He will need to build flak all over the shore, and I like the option. Oh my god, that oh jeez, like 3 Oblivion shots just wrecked all of this T1 land. But terrain hitting turrets just do my head in on this map. I'm sure it's doing their heads in too. Getting through, Renegades trying to do some trouble, trying to cause some trouble here, and not enough. So Frigate's actually a fairly decent AA, not as good as maybe as it should be, but it's these interceptors will know about that AA if they stay there long enough. More Renegades. Tai's really showing his hand that he's going Renegade spam, so Mountain needs to get some flak up. I think he's definitely been negligent. He knew the Renegades existed. He definitely needed flak much sooner than he got it. Maybe he was trying to go for interceptors. He's got tier 1 AA, but flak is really what you want. So I think he kind of dropped the ball on that, or maybe he just feels like he constantly has different priorities, or trying to focus on interceptors to deal with the Renegades, which isn't a bad option. But this cruiser is going to shut those interceptors down hard. But they need to go. They need to go here now. If Tai sends his cruisers here, supported by his renegades, he's going to be in a very strong position to win this map. 3 T2 air transport, so that's showing Mountain's hand pretty hard. He wants to go for drops. But how did this thing even happen? How are you here? Just park against the interceptors, right? And then when they land, you can kill them all. It's a bit heavy to micro, but that'd be great if that was to happen. But it seems like 15 kills! Oh sweet lord. This banger is a hero of the Cybran race. Is the Cybrans a race or a species? Or just a faction? I guess they're a faction. But this banger is the hero of the Cybrans. He banged hard. Can you say that on subcom casts? He banged hard. That banger banged hard, and he sure did. The banger can park over here and just kill everything that comes up of these air factories. So those transports, they come into these harbingers, and they're going to pick them up and they're going to drop somewhere and try and cause some trouble. But Mountain is very badly on the back foot here. He's lost air superiority. There's so many gunships on the map. He needs flak everywhere, I feel, at this point. His commanders begin to look very vulnerable. Constantly building and rebuilding his... Oh jeez, he needs a better plan. These turrets behind these hills is just a terrible choice. He needs them more forward. I've said this repeatedly, but the terrain on this map really forces you to be very, very careful where you place your PD. So the drop's coming in. This is exciting. Will it be intercepted? I don't think it will be. There's a fair bit of T1 AA. They should still all drop. Where's the ACU? But so what I think he needs to do is he needs to run his Harbingers into the middle of all of this business, because that will mean that all the friendly fire from the Renegades will help kill things. Even though there are a lot of turrets here, I'm not sure how effective this is going to be. The most damage I think is going to come from the actual Renegades. No, this didn't work. This didn't do nearly enough damage. Holy mackerel, well. Wrecked, indeed. Not really surprising with this amount of Renegades. So it's a bit of a shame that worked. I think that was Mountain's almost last throw of the dice. Eco-wise, he's still in the game. Like, he is still very much in the game here, but he probably doesn't feel it. He probably feels like he's out of the game. But he needs to do something pretty special to win. He's definitely on the back foot. He's definitely the advantage. Why his cruisers are here, I could not tell you. I want them to be here. I want his Renegades to destroy all of these things. Mountain doesn't have the anti-air to protect his commander. If Ty just right-clicked on Mountain's commander with his Renegades, I think he could win the game right here and now, or at least destroy its entire power grid. So this game is definitely Ty's to lose. Definitely Ty's to lose, with the amount of Renegades he has. He could just ignore this, what's happening here. Going for another drop. So Mountain's committing hard. So Engineers coming down in this drop, so don't know what that's about. He's just got no answer to this. He doesn't even care about these mexes here, so Mountain, I think, has pretty much given up at this point, to be quite honest. I think he's given up. So we're going for a Strat Bomber, which, if it flies over the cruisers, will go poorly for him. But he's definitely going for the Hail Mary at this point. If he built like 4 or 5 flak right here, maybe 20 seconds ago, he would still be in the game. But these Renegades are going to end the game. Why a Solace? Just why? It won't even kill the cruisers. Yep, this is it. This is the end. So, yeah, I thought this was a good game. I thought Mountain's start to the game was really strong. I think his initial game was definitely stronger than Ty's. That's too many, indeed it is too many. But Mountain, you knew they existed, you knew they were there. So, what happened? There was a lot of T1 spam. I think both players placed their PDs poorly. I think a few more walls to defend this entrance here was definitely appropriate. More PDs just in this alleyway. Basically like this. Ty got the idea in the end. Look, when you're being pushed, you just want to get PDs down place wherever you possibly can. But on this map, the utility is just so diminished by the fact that they're constantly shooting terrain. You really need them in the alleyways. Mountain constantly was losing P gens to T1 land. So the T1 land was good. Mountain's T3 land drops were not good. Although there was a lot of fight for Navy in the middle, there wasn't any kind of utility achieved in using it. Maybe that was because Ty mostly had Navy and that restricted any Aurora play, which was definitely necessary. The cruiser was good to maintain air control, especially for utility of his gunships. So all in all, a very good game. I enjoyed it from both of these veteran players on Bermuda Lockets. Ty winning, beating a higher ranked player, so that was good and fun to see. Got a brick too. What can be fun with the bricks is that you can just mark them under the wall there and pop up over here. So thank you for joining me for this cast, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.